We hear about horror stories from IEP meetings and SPED teams gone bad all the time, especially in this line of work. But what does a really good team look like? And what are some things that you can ask for to helpfully make your IEP team turn into a good one? My name is Nick Coletti, and welcome to the Sped Space Podcast. Hey guys, good to be back. I hope everybody's doing well. I am recording a bunch of these. Well, actually, I usually record a few, but I'm recording a few ahead of time because I'm getting married at the time of this recording next week, at the time of this release in a couple days. So very exciting times. And been very busy. I've been very busy the last few weeks. But before we get into today's episode, I just want to remind people that I have started a Sped Space Newsletter. If you would like to go check that out, if you can go to greenwichseadvocates.com/resources, I'll put it in the description below too, or the show notes or whatever it is, wherever you want to check that out. If you follow me on Instagram at GSC Advocates, it'll be in my link in bio. And yeah, just a few places to, just a cool spot to keep up to date with what's been going on and whatnot. I also got featured on parents.com, which is pretty cool. There was an article about the differences between a 504 and an IEP. So that was pretty exciting. I haven't been in an article before. As an expert, I'm an expert in the field because I am. It feels weird. I feel like, I am an expert, but I also feel like the second you call yourself an expert, like you're not an expert anymore because there's always something to learn. There's always something like you need to have a beginner or a newbie, a beginner mentality with anything if you want to continue being good at something. I think but also have to be realistic that I am an expert in this field for sure. But let's just stay fresh. Let's stay open to learning new things and always asking questions. Even if you know the answers to them, it's always good to ask questions. My barber, I got a haircut today. My barber has a YouTube channel where he reviews movies. And he's pivoting from that, but we were discussing microphones and cameras and all this stuff and like the background, which I haven't changed at all. All my special education books, my workout books, my Dungeons and Dragons books back here. So if you're watching this, I definitely got to work on my files over here. There looks like a computer and a backpack. So I really got to work on my my background here. But that's not why you're watching the show. It's because of my lovely voice and excellent knowledge when it comes to special education. And what I wanted to talk about today, I've kind of made a list of a giant bunch of things I want to talk about. And I want to get some guests on here again. It's been a minute since we had some guests. But because I'm getting married next week, I have been having a ton of meetings because I want to get everything done because I'm not going to be working the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be relaxing. And I've gotten to work with a bunch of different teams. And typically when someone reaches out to me, things are not going well. And that's understandable because usually someone who's struggling in an IEP meeting, you basically have two kinds of people. One, it's not going well. Something has happened and it's not working with the current team and they need some help. And they realize they need some help and they research and find out what an advocate is and they find my website and reach out to me. Or you have people that are brand new to the field and don't fully understand what special education entails. And so they're just looking for information and trying to better understand the situation, which is super normal and understandable. So those are basically the two clients that I run into. And then there's also people that I just meet when I'm out and about and I mention that I'm a special education advocate. And then maybe, a month to 6 months later, a year later, they reach out like, hey, I remember I met you here and didn't meet you at the time, but now my son or my daughter is struggling and I would love to get some advice. So keep in mind, typically, when I get called, though, vast majority of the time, the team's not doing well. We're not having a good time. And so then I step in and I help. And I've been at some pretty horrible meetings, even recently, just as of earlier this week, right? Really, really horrible meetings. People that, just don't seem to have the best interest of the kid in mind. And then I'm sure they think they do, but really aren't truly thinking about what's in the best interest of the child. And that's, that's an opinion at the end of the day, right? Like obviously I'm on one side of the table, they're on the other. It's tough. Also some other things like just not following what they should be doing, not really supplying the data that they should be supplying and whatnot. And I'm sure a lot of you struggle with that. I hear this question all the time. How do I know my kid is understanding or comprehending what's going on? How do I know my kid is actually making progress? And that's a horrible question to hear because it shouldn't be hard to know. Even in the most extreme situations, you should be able to see progress or understand how progress is being measured because that's the whole point of an IEP, to develop goals, or depending on your state, I mainly work in Connecticut, but goals and objectives, but goals that are measured. They're measurable goals. And so we should know how they're measured. We should know the criteria to which they're measured. And that leads me to talk about something positive, which is in these last couple of weeks, I've also been to some phenomenal IEP meetings and great teams. And I want to shout them out. And I'm actually going to shout them out by name, which is New Canaan in Connecticut. I just had one of, if not the best run IEP meetings, aside from my own, of course, when I was a teacher. But truly across the board, I don't want to name names, even if it's positive. I don't want to name names as negative. I don't know if they necessarily want the attention, but just shout out to the special ed team in New Canaan. I'm not going to name the school. If you recognize me, shout out to you. But wow, what a breath of fresh air. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how the meeting went, how the meeting was prepped for, so you can use some of these strategies to potentially make your team run a little better. Now, for what it's worth, I think that this team would have done this stuff anyway because of how they conducted themselves. I've been to enough meetings and I've done this enough myself where I can just see people that are proactive and good at this job. And as a business owner, we're talking about education here, but to my teachers out there, to the people that are listening that maybe don't run a business, hospitality is a thing. And how you treat your customers and your clients is really important. Making sure that they know that they're cared for, that you're thinking about them, that you're thinking about their needs before they realize they need it. That mindset can be used in special education. Is it a hospitality service? No, it's education. But you could do some things to improve the lives of your children by supporting the parents and their experience. One of the things that I do whenever we have an annual coming up, I did this as a teacher and I ask my clients to do this, or I do it on their behalf in preparation for an annual meeting. So annual meetings, these are the meetings that happen once a year that basically we rewrite the entire IEP. We review how the previous year went, and then we plan for the next 12 months. And right there, if we're reviewing how things went, before we walk into that meeting, we need to have the progress reports. Now, depending on your state, it may be called different things, but something like the cumulative progress report, the annual report, the finalized progress report. There should be something that this is it. All the goals are either mastered or they're not mastered. And we review them. And we see what progress did we make? How close did we get to mastering everything, if not everything? And then we take that information and we build a new IEP for the next year. You should have that information in hand before you walk into the annual meeting, and you should read it. And that's on you, but you should have it before the meeting. So what I've always done as a teacher is 5 days prior to the meeting, 5 school days. So if the meeting is on a Wednesday, by the Wednesday prior, I make sure that my parents have several documents, and we'll go through them. But the first one is the progress report, the finalized progress report. So they can see, how'd your kid do? Now, this shouldn't be a surprise that they're getting progress reports throughout the year. You should be getting progress reports anytime kids receive a report card. You should also get a progress report at minimum. Now, you might have something special going on where you receive more, but it should be at the very least that. I just realized my light is not on. Let me turn my light on. There we go. Oh, so much better. All right, sorry for the first part of that video, guys. You didn't get the proper lighting on my face. I only have one light. I got to get some more light. Well, I guess the headlight. I got to get more lights. Anyway, lights don't matter if you're listening to this auditorially. Anyways, you should, I would send out the progress report 5 days prior, and you should be getting them every time kids get a report card. You should also get a progress report. The progress report is the report card of the IEP. So there shouldn't be a surprise on what they mastered or didn't master, right? If they're pretty close, but on the third one, right, there's 4 progress reports. If they're pretty close on the third one, you'd assume that they'd master it by the 4th one, right? If they're nowhere near, probably should be calling a meeting to discuss to redo the IEP. That's another day. But asking for a progress report for the 5 days prior. Should the district be doing this? Yes, they should be. But what does this do? This forces the team to get everything done 5 days prior. It's like they actually look at this stuff and get it done. So now you have this information in hand. You're ready to go with the data. And the second thing I always ask for, and I would always send out 5 days prior, is a draft version of the IEP. Now, we cannot predetermine the services, so we got to be careful with that. But to say that I don't have an opinion as a teacher of what your child should be working on for the next 12 months after working with them for arguably the 12 months or even longer prior, that's asinine. Of course I have an opinion. Of course I think of what they should be working on. What I used to do is, and this is, you can encourage a team to do this, is as the SPED teacher, I would go to each of the kids' gen ed teachers and talk to them. So let's say I have a kid that needs some math goals. I'll go sit down with the math teacher and be like, hey, how is Jimmy doing in math? Like, and I already know the answer to this, of course, but like, what do you see as the gen ed teacher of Jimmy's struggles? The math teacher is the expert in math. I'm not. Now, I'm pretty good at math personally, but I'm not a math teacher. I'm a special ed teacher. So I want to talk to the math teacher and see, what do you think that Jimmy needs from the expert? And then I encapsulate that into a goal. I do that for everything. I make sure all the goals are done, all the service provider goals, all that, and I send it out to the parent. And then the next thing I do, the last thing, is I schedule a conversation with the parent before the meeting. And I discuss with them, what do you think, what are your thoughts on the progress from last year? Do you have any questions or concerns? Let's just jump to the goals that they didn't master. I just want to let you know that, yeah, he didn't master this goal, but the goal was 80% and he got to 75. Did he master it? No. But like, we're right there. I have no concern. We're going to add it, the first part to it next year, the next year's IEP, and then we're going to continue it for the next 12 months. All good. Not a big deal. What are your thoughts on the drafts, the draft goals and objectives of the draft goals? Oh, this is your time now as a parent to say, what do you want your kid to work on? And then we include it in the IEP. We put it in there, right? We listen. We work together. You're part of the team. This is what a good team looks like. And I want to give a shout out to New Canaan. And I got to be honest, I don't remember the district name. Hold on a second. I'm going to find it. I'm loading this up super quick. I'm just going to keep talking. But it's a district in Pennsylvania. They are, and I don't have the district name memorized, but they're in the main line area, so right outside Philadelphia. And let me see one of his. This is the county, Montgomery County, but I don't believe that's the school district. I think it's more specific than that. We'll just go with that for right now. I don't believe that's the school district. School District of Upper Marion Area School District. I guess that's the name of it. Yeah, Upper Marion Area. Blown away. Them and New Canaan, blown away with how great these two districts are. Now, we haven't even had the IEP meeting yet for the Upper Marion one, and this is what I want to discuss before going into the meeting. So again, ask for the progress reports, ask for the draft goals and objectives, and meet with the teacher beforehand and discuss all these things. And then I'll get in, and I want to illustrate that with my experience with Upper Marion County in Pennsylvania. So this team has met multiple times with the parent already. I joined for one of the meetings. I couldn't join for the other ones. And honestly, I told the parent after the first one, you don't need me there. They got you. Like truly. I'll be there in the actual meeting, but we're I know what you want. We talk to the main people. We're good. They went through. They just sat there and listened to the parent and their concerns, and they took notes. and they had a conversation, and we had meaningful conversations, and we talked about what are the most important things. This was for a child with nonverbal autism, and so speech and communication is the most important thing. And so we can see that in all areas of the IEP. It is the focus. It is the focal point of the IEP. It is the main thing that we're going to be working on. And then we got a draft version of the IEP, and it's all in there. Everything. It's all in there. Everything that we discussed, everything that we requested. And it's not the fact that they said yes to everything. It's the fact that they listened and made a meaningful attempt to put it in a way that was impactful for the child. They didn't do everything we asked for. They didn't give every single thing we asked for, but they took what was being asked and they translated it in a way that was reasonable and appropriate for the child. What more can you ask for? Now, I have that meeting as of this recording tomorrow. Very excited for that meeting. But my point is, I take this same approach with my clients as an advocate. Before we go to a meeting, we sit down and create an agenda for us and a written statement and what we want to share with the team and all this, right? We barely had to do anything. Everything was like in there already. So we basically put together a thank you statement, and I just know exactly what the parent wants. So I'm just going to highlight it when we have the meeting tomorrow. I'm going to be highlighting what are the things that we want to get out of that meeting. And then, of course, if I hear anything that I want to add in or anything like that, that's what I do because of my background. But just kudos to that team, like really blown away, like across the board, the SPED teacher, the speech pathologist, the OT, the PT, like everybody is like top notch. Really, really, really impressed with that team and the hospitality that they have towards my client. And jumping back to New Canaan, while we didn't have those prep meetings, they also did the same thing. They made sure we had the progress reports beforehand. They made sure that we had the draft version of the IEP beforehand. And what was cool about this is this child just came back to the district. So this child was it basically didn't master any of his goals because he'd only been there for a little bit. Yet they still sent it out. Like, that doesn't look great, but we know why. We know why. And they still, even though it didn't look great, they sent out all the information. So we had the same things to talk about. And then at the meeting, we had meaningful conversations about the child's education. We expressed our concerns and what we think might be possible solutions. And they came back with possible solutions. And we came together and said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's do that. And just, hammered out a really solid IEP for this kid. And we looked at the goals, and we looked at the objectives, and we looked at what they were trying to do and kind of said, like, this kid, it looks like we're really trying to build to being able to create and maintain a meaningful peer relationship. So let's just make that the goal. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. Like, that's the goal for a year from now. Like, let's get this kid a friend. That's the goal, right? And so all the things that we're building to, it's like, that's the focus. That's going to be what the whole team is kind of centered around. This is a fantastic meeting. It was a fantastic meeting. And it's not just about having a fantastic meeting. It's also the trust that it's going to be executed, that it's going to actually happen. They're actually going to help this kid, both districts. So just, what it feels like in a really good meeting, guys, is asking questions and having meaningful conversations so we can develop an appropriate plan for our children that need specialized support, specially designed instruction, special education, right? That's the whole point. And, they're out there. There's good teams out there. So shout out to New Canaan in Connecticut. Shout out to Upper Merion District in Pennsylvania. Really, like, it's an honor to be in those meetings. It's a joy to be in those meetings. It's nice to sit back and put my educator hat on more than my advocate hat and actually develop a good plan. Usually I have to not do that, unfortunately. I have to focus on what's right and what the district is not doing. But in this case, in these two cases, absolutely not. Really, 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 really impressive. Really impressed with those two districts. If you're considering anything special education related and New Canaan or Upper Merion County or like in your area and you have to decide where you're moving or this and that, Highly, highly, highly recommend. And honestly, I mean, it goes a long way. The fact that their special education programs look like that, their general education programs, just their general education, I'm sure is great too. I don't know that for sure, but I would say if your special education's good, your general education's probably good too, because they really lean on each other. So keeping it short today, guys. Not too much going on. Well, I shouldn't say that. I have so many things going on that I can't wrap my head around it. So I don't know why I just said that. A lot of things going on, but we'll call it there today. Kind of a quickie today. So if you haven't already, please check out the Sped Space Newsletter. You can check it out at greenwichseadvocates.com/resources. While you're there, if you need an initial consultation or any support with advocacy services, feel free to fill out the form on the main page, on the contact page as well. If you would like to be on the show or have any questions for me, please reach out to me at thespedspace@gmail.com. And please give us a follow at GSE Advocates on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook at Greenwich Special Education Advocates. And I think that's it. Oh, like, follow, subscribe, share this. Let people know that I'm a podcast, and so I can continue to grow this community and help more people out understanding SPED and getting what our children need, which is an appropriate, but a very, very good and potentially the best education that they can receive. All right. Have a great day. Bye.